Board. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 78 of the In From Japan podcast, the podcast where we talk about the latest news on Japan-developed games and other things in relation to them. Available on YouTube and in most places podcasts can be found. No housekeeping this week. Nothing I can think of. Anything you can think of?
Nope. All good.
Accessibility is good.
Was that even a doubt?
I don't know. You know how some people are. Accessibility is good. Difficulty modes are good. More people being able to play video games is good. Video games are for everyone. Okay. Anyway. Moving on to the Japanese games we've been playing. I'd say without looking at the doc, what do you think I've been playing? But you already looked at the doc. So
Yeah. Well, I didn't memorize everything, but I guess Scarlet Nexus and Final Fantasy 14.
Not Scarlet Nexus, no. I am playing Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin a lot.
Oh. Well, that's to be expected.
And it's great. It's great. I'm actually stuck on a boss right now, so I'm leveling a few other monsters up. So the experience can get kind of slow, like on when you have monsters on your team eventually, because different monsters have different like growth rates. Some will be fast in the beginning and slow down later. Others will have slow growth and like be slow in the beginning and get a lot better later. And I'm just trying to experiment with like some of the better monsters. The nice thing is you can send some of your monsters out on expeditions. So they can go, you can send a group of them out and they can go level up and collect items and stuff while you go do something else.
So is this game, now that you've played a fair bit more, is this game all you've wanted, or do you think they could have done more to push the formula?
I do think they could have done a little more to push the formula. What that is, I'm not sure. Because it's not that different. Like, really what they did is they added co-op both in the single player by with battle buddies and the multiplayer with just other players. And but the battle system stayed largely the same from the first game besides that.
Okay. But when it comes to like stuff like exploration and the RPG-ness of it all, do you think it could have been more or more expansive?
I mean, I think you could have made the areas a little less restricting, especially once you get the flying unlocked. Because you know, when you're flying around, it feels kind of weird when there's like a weird border in like certain parts of the sky.
Yeah. And what do you think of the story so far?
Story is whatever. It's a typical, you know, Monster Hunter story.
What does that mean?
I mean, like, it's like, oh, this weird stuff is going on. We have to figure out what's causing it. Like, this weird thing is happening and causing monsters to go on a rampage. We need to figure out why this is happening. So it's not... There's just more dialogue and character interactions. Yeah. Not that the story is bad. It's just, like, it's not something that's, like, that I'm super engaged in or anything. I'm more like engaged in like the whole collecting eggs mechanic and getting monsters and giving genes to other monsters.
So what you're saying is the story is there. It's not nothing earth shattering. It's just there.
No, the story is there. It's not bad. It's not great either. It's just like, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It really makes me want to crave donuts because that's what Navarro talks about all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the battle system is largely the same from the first game. It's hard because like I don't have that many criticisms of it yet. Because it just, to me, it's just like so good still.
Okay. No, I'm happy you're happy.
and then there's other stuff that like, oh, it's kind of like, oh, I wish regular Monster Hunter did this, but I can understand why they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need less materials to make armor and weapons, although for like to upgrade them and stuff, you still need quite a bit. Layered armor, it's really nice with layered armor. Instead of like having to go out and seek more of those pieces for them, as long as you have that armor, pay 700 gold and you can get it as a layered armor from this one guy.
Okay, that's
like,
not too bad.
I really wish that's something I really wish they added to mainline Monster Hunter. Just because layered armor is such like a pain, it can be like a pain to get. In World and Rise.
Isn't layered armor kind of like end game stuff to hunt for?
I mean, it can be. Some of it isn't.
Okay.
Like in stories too, it's definitely not. I'm definitely not even. I'm either. I think I'm like. I must be halfway or like more than halfway through it.
Okay.
I'm in a volcano area. I'm having a little trouble with the Uragon boss.
Well, they did.
Because
from the reviews I've watched and read, it's about 40-50 hours. If I'm not mistaken.
I've been doing a couple, like quite a while, just collecting a bunch of extra eggs. So like I don't know, and I don't know my time either.
I mean, you could check the Switch clock, right?
That's true. But yeah, I don't have like.
No hot takes.
Yeah, I don't have any hot takes on it. Okay. I do like how they added a fast forward, so you can skip through the special attack animations, which it's just kind of becoming a standard in JRPG, in turn-based JRPGs these days. Which is great. I'm still figuring out how certain things work in regards to royal monsters, which are like these not secret boss monsters, but they're like these powerful monsters that are just kind of sleeping throughout the world, and you can just choose to fight them.
Yeah.
And but the one thing is, you don't know when you fight a monster for the first time, you don't know its health, which was the same thing in the first one. So you don't know how long it's going to take it down.
That's very old school RPG, when you kind of have to like defeat a monster at least once to get a sense of how strong it can be.
I think it's kind of like a way they translated, because Monster Hunter proper, they don't have, there's no health bars in that.
That is true.
So I think in a way that's like a way they kind of translated that into Monster Hunter stories.
Okay, I see.
Otherwise, yeah, the nice thing is I don't feel like stuff when monsters attack, they're randomized, because I'll be like, this is a power type monster, so I'll use a speed type, or like this is a technical type monster, so I'll use a power type. And then when they get mad, they switch things up. But they switch things up to one of the two other types, and if you fought the monster before, you kind of already have an idea of what they'll do. So it's nice not having to, guess.
Okay, yeah, I get that. You already had a fair bit of that in the first Monster Hunter stories.
Yeah.
Now, having played Stories 2, do you secretly wish they remade Stories 1 or ported Stories 1? Or is this like...
I do kind of wish they ported Stories 1 to Switch, just because there are characters in the story that I forgot about, or possibly were in the Japan-only DLC. So it would have been nice. It's definitely not necessary to play the first one, though.
Okay. So it's kind of like, if you're worried that you're not caught up on the story, it's very much a blank slate.
Yeah. like one character will be like, "Oh, I know this person," and they'll be like, "Okay."
Okay.
It's not like it's a huge gap in the. It's like, oh, that character knows that other character. Must be from the first one. I mean, it helps that Monster Hunter Stories 2 isn't just called Monster Hunter Stories Wings of Ruin. It has the 2 in the title, so it's a sequel.
Yeah.
It can get kind of confusing how the monster in the first game was your Rathalos was Ratha, and then in this game you have Guardian Ratha, who is not the one from the first game, but Guardian Ratha is the Rathalos belong to your Stories 2 character's grandfather, and then when you get Guardian Ratha's offspring, that one's also named Ratha.
Does it really matter?
It just gets a little confusing, and it can, if you don't know, like Monster Hunter Stories 2 takes place 4 years after the first game.
Huh.
And characters will like tell you about stuff that happened in the first game.
Oh, okay.
But at first it seemed like it was kind of unclear, and it seemed like your character's grandpa was the player character in Monster Hunter Stories 1, but then of course having certain characters show up kind of retcons that.
Okay. So it's kind of, you kind of have to see it as it's a whole new continuity of story then. Don't necessarily be beholden to what happened in Stories 1.
I mean, it's still it's not what happened in Stories 1 is just stuff that are like characters are saying, like, oh, this is like the time that this happened, and that's about it for most of it. Just like some characters know each other, and it's like, okay. I was like, oh, you know this person? Oh yeah, we used to do this thing or whatever. I wish I had like more to say about it. I would think I would, but it's just so much like the first game, and that's like such a good thing. It's one of those things where if they make a third one, which I think they could at this point, and more on that later, but well, I think if they make sure they keep improving all the systems, then they'll be in a good place. So they don't just kind of get stagnant.
I still think that.
But it's hard when the systems are already so good. The systems in place are already so good.
I still think they can push it a bit further because it all, from what I've seen, I haven't played it yet. From what I've seen, it all feels a bit restrained somehow. Like they're kind of limiting themselves in what they do with the story or with the gameplay mechanics.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I'd also like some accessibility options. Not for me, but just for other people, because there are some QuickTime events in battle so that pop up sometimes. And it's usually which return from the first game. It's tapping L and R alternatively, or pressing A a bunch of times, or doing the right stick in a circle. You know, I'm using my old because it's for beam struggles, so I'm using my old Budokai 3 reflexes. But yeah, I hope for like the people who have a hard time with that like if there's another entry that
well, let's hope so.
They'll add that.
From what we know,
and that like maybe somebody mods it for the PC version. I don't know.
So far I haven't heard of accessibility options being modded into a game, but it is possible, probably.
You never know.
That's what I said. It's possible.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really loving it. I've been, like, when I play it on the weekend, I was playing it for hours on end, and I was like, I gotta go do something else, because I've been sitting here playing this for most of the day. I haven't had a game do that for me since I first started Final Fantasy 14, which was like a year ago.
That's interesting.
So yeah, it's great. I'll probably have more concrete thoughts once I finish the main story.
All right.
So sorry for those disappointed about that.
It's fine.
But anyways, I really like it. There are people playing it who I didn't think would play it, who didn't play the first one, and I have some friends who were not even interested in Monster Hunter in general and got the game because a bunch of their friends were playing it and it looked really good, and they're really liking it. Greg Miller was playing it on stream yesterday, and I was like, what? I don't know if he's going to keep playing it, but I saw that he was. So we'll see. There's a story about stories, too, that we'll talk about later. More about that. Final Fantasy XIV. I played a little bit with my friends. We did an unsynced Odin fight. And doing that fight unsynced with 2 other people, you get it done in like 30 seconds.
Yeah. That's typically how it goes. Like my brother.
So we did that. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say my brother was leveling up during his playthrough of A Realm Reborn, and his friend said, "You know what? We're just going to carry you. We'll have you join our party. We'll run unsynced dungeons and battles, and have you level up that way." And that's basically what they did.
That might be good to do for my monk class. But yeah, so we did that because those 2 friends were really getting into Triple Triad, so they were trying to get the Odin card.
Okay.
And one of them kept not getting it, and I decided like, I'll get the armor because the armor that you get from this looks cool and would be good for glamour. So then like it took us quite a bit because we kept getting the same armor pieces, and it took us a long time to get the body. We got the gloves and the boots the most time.
Okay.
But then I finally got it, and I was like, okay, see you guys later.
So are you not going to continue the story then?
Not right now. Before Endwalker, yeah.
Okay.
Just not right now when I have like, Monster Hunter Stories 2.
Yeah.
And we got other games coming out soon. So we'll see when I get back on that. And I played a little bit of Godzilla Battle Line.
Oh, what is that?
It's one of the 3 Godzilla mobile games that was announced a while ago that we talked about. It's a gacha game where you get like different Godzilla monsters and also like the different military weapons and stuff from the franchise. And you have them like go on a little map and fight like a little city map and fight other monsters. The one thing is it's PvP only, and I only did as far as like the tutorial battles. So because I didn't get to, I couldn't find anyone. I don't know if it was the time I was playing at or it's just that small of a community playing right now.
That's interesting.
Or what?
No, it's just
there was a Ian Walker wrote an article about it for Kotaku, and he loves it.
Okay.
It's on our recommended content. But yeah, I'm mostly been playing a ton of Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin. That's taking up all my time right now, as expected.
Yeah.
It is likely going to be my game of the year.
That's high praise.
We will see, because The World Ends With You, Neo, I like the gameplay a lot more than I expected. So we will see about that. Also, Shin Megami Tensei 5 isn't out yet. So I think it's going to be between those 3, unless some random thing just completely blows my mind.
Okay.
Also, I got Tabeoja.
Yeah, I saw.
The food, the Cookie Mama Pokemon-like game. So, weirdest thing, you can't find this game on the Japanese eShop, right? There's also no physical edition for it.
Okay.
You can only get it from the digital code it gives you in the accessory box. Very weird.
Is that like uncommon, or were you not expecting it?
That's pretty. I think that's pretty odd. That's pretty odd, given that it's digital but not on the eShop. And it's like that. Yeah, it's a little strange. I guess it's no stranger than some of those when games come, like when games have a case and then instead of having a disc they just have a code in them. I guess it's not that different. But the thing about those games is you can still purchase them on the console stores.
Okay.
Me and my friend, we couldn't find Tabe Oja on the eShop at all, and he can actually read Japanese. So, like, we couldn't find...
Did you, like, Google Tabe Oja Japanese eShop?
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did all of that. And I just finally got it from PlayAsia because it was there, and it was a decent price. And I'll play it and probably try streaming it at some point in the near future. I don't know when, but I just wanted to say that I got it. I have the food Pokemon.
Okay. How are you planning on navigating through the menus and the text for that matter?
Winging it.
That's a brave option.
It worked for Yokai Watch 4.
All right, man.
For a little bit.
But real quick, back to the Monster Hunter Stories bit where you said it's probably your game of the year. What makes it your game of the year?
Yeah. I mean, part of it is the fact that I have such a hard time putting it down, even when I'm not doing story stuff. Like, usually it's just because I'm going through the story, and like I just keep going, you know. But then a boss stops me, and I have to grind a little bit, get some new monsters, do some gene manipulation, stuff like that, and then I'll be like, it'll be like 10 in the morning, and then by the time I'm done, it'll be like it'll be like 6, and I'll be at 6 p.m. and I'll be like, oh, I should not do this. I should stop.
Probably, yeah.
With breaks in between, obviously, but it's one of those things where it's just like it's been so hard for me to put down, and I haven't had a game, like I said, I haven't had a game do that for me,
but
in a long time, and it's a different feeling than Final Fantasy 14, like I said, because Final Fantasy 14 was more just trying to get through everything, just because there's so much of it. This is more getting through everything because I enjoy it so much.
But is it then not the most fun you've had with a game versus your game of the year? Because when you say game of the year, I kind of interpret it as like
it's kind of both. It's both right now.
Okay,
that's why I'm saying we'll see.
Okay,
depending on how the others think. Because if another game has like gameplay I'm really into and a story I'm really into, that might beat it.
Okay.
It's still going to be top 5 for sure.
All right.
Like, that was there was no doubt in my mind that it wouldn't be.
I did not doubt it either.
But, yeah, I will have more concrete thoughts hopefully next week.
All right.
I don't know how much longer it'll take me to finish it. I'm trying to I want to set up a Monster Hunter Stories 2 spoiler cast with some of our friends playing it, but I haven't had much luck on that front quite yet. Okay. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So you just been playing Final Fantasy 14 mostly, it looks like?
Yeah, because day job, so I don't have much time for anything else.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy 14 was running some sort of campaign where you would get free game time for inactive players. So I had 14 days of game time, and I figured I kind of need a break from Assassin's Creed Valhalla because that's a lot of hours to sink in the game, and kind of being bummed that it isn't all meaningful as you thought it would be. But yeah, Final Fantasy 14, I'm trying to finish the patch quest post Heaven's Ward, like the Dragon Song War.
Dragon Song I really like.
It's pretty good. Though I kind of ask myself, why is this a patch quest and not a part of the main quest? I don't really get that distinction because it's still concerning dragons and politics, and Heaven's Ward is all about dragons and politics, so it's kind of weird.
I mean, maybe that's just how it worked out in the planning. Who knows? I don't know.
Maybe, but it's weird. There is still that Warrior of Darkness storyline that's brewing. That I do understand why you'd want segmented from the main narrative.
Yeah, that doesn't. From what I've heard, that doesn't come until a bit later.
Yeah,
I'm not even at that part yet.
That's probably not till Shadowbringers.
Shadowbringers, yeah.
So yeah, I'm having fun. It's Final Fantasy. My free company kicked me out because they were kind of getting like, they were growing in members, and they were like, oh, okay, we're seeing that you're inactive, so we're gonna have to remove you for now, which I totally understand. Not that I'm holding it against
it's
them.
Okay. You can, if we were on the same server, you could join ours. It's only 4 people.
Yeah, I'm not looking for a new free company as of yet because my playtime is so infrequent.
Is it a temporary?
Yeah,
yeah.
I might resub after this, but there are also other games I should be playing probably. Yeah, it's still great fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm still a white mage. I think that's kind of like the most surprising thing if you talk to people about Final Fantasy 14. Like, oh, you're a white mage? Why? Why?
Yeah.
Why aren't you carrying a sword or a spear? Why are you a white mage? And like,
I mean, does it stress you out being a healer, given that you have to maintain all the rest of the party?
It only stresses me out when party members go all Leroy Jenkins into a dungeon or a battle.
When the tank's pulling too many enemies.
Yeah,
at once.
Like, dude, I don't know this dungeon. I just mentioned that I'm a noob. Take it easy. And then they get frustrated when you don't do exactly the thing they thought you would be doing. And I'm like, in what world? Why? But that's thankfully like 10% of all my experiences. 90% is like overwhelmingly positive. Like I'll mention.
We were fighting. I was fighting with some random guys. This one dragon boss was it like it was like a mist dragon or something, and we kept dying to it. And it was like, and instead of being like mad about it, we're just like, again, like, okay, so what are we supposed to do? I think we're supposed to do this. We're kind of just having more of a discussion about strategy than like, rather than getting mad at each other.
Yeah. So like. This last dungeon,
and then we eventually got through
I think it was called Selethal, where I was fighting against a bunch of dragons. Another one of the members was like asking questions about mechanics, and the most experienced member of the party was like casually and confidently answering the questions, and I'm like, oh, that's so nice to see. Like, no one's getting angry or frustrated that it's taking maybe longer than it needs to, but it's all cool. Which is great, which is really a testament of the Final Fantasy 14 community, that like 90 to 99% of all interactions is very positive, and yeah, it makes it such a good time to get into it. Yeah, and it's a critically acclaimed MMORPG that lets you play
free trial up to level 60, including Heaven's Sword. Yeah. Next up is the In From Japan J-List, recent video game related entertainment news. We have one story. Mill Creek Entertainment announces the 25th anniversary release of Ultraman Tiga on DVD. Believe it or not, this story will actually be important later. Mill Creek Entertainment is pleased to announce the North American DVD release of Ultraman Tiga, Ultraman Dyna, and Ultraman Gaia. This collection of 3 Ultraman series will feature Japanese audio with English subtitles, an exclusive collectible spine mural, and episode guides. The first in the series, Ultraman Tiga, is set to arrive on October 5th, 2021. This exciting debut comes off the back of Mill Creek Entertainment's license of the available Ultraman back catalog via international distribution company Indigo Entertainment from the revolutionary team at Subaraya Productions. The Ultraman Tiga series includes 52 episodes along with the special Ultraman Tiga side story Revival of the Ancient Giant. Premiering in 1996, Ultraman Tiga was the first new Ultraman on Japanese television in 15 years. Tiga was also the first transforming Ultraman with 3 body types, each with their own unique ability. The story begins early in the 21st century as the Global Unlimited Task Squad, or GUTS, deciphers an ancient prophecy regarding the return of 2 horrifying monsters that menaced the world 30 million years ago. As predicted, the 2 beasts reappear, demolishing everything in their path. As GUTS battle the monsters in the land of Tiga, they discover a pyramid of light containing statues of 3 gigantic Ultra Warriors. Daigo, the GUTS team's most daring young fighter, becomes joined with one of the ancient Ultra Warriors. The mighty Ultraman Tiga is reborn. Now when danger strikes, Daigo holds aloft the spark lens and transforms into Ultraman Tiga. And then, there's a bunch of stuff about Dinah and Gaia.
Mm-hmm.
Ultraman Tiga also had a short-lived 4Kids English dub. And the Ultraman Tiga is going to be important to a news story later. Our main topic.
Yeah.
So be excited for that. What?
No, I just said yes.
Ah, okay. Next up is recommended content. Content other than news from the past week listed out. Links in the description. First, we have Nintendo Switch OLED hands-on. It isn't the console's true successor, and that's just fine, by Allesandro Filarri for GameSpot. How Kamen Rider's filming changed over the years, by Beats, Tokusatsu Network. Interview, Animaze plans to push the limits of VTubing, by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. Feature, Nintendo hardware refreshes through the ages, by Gavin Lane for Nintendo Life. East 9 Monstrum Nox is the perfect place for newcomers to take a vampiric leap into the series, by Nadia Oxford for Rock Paper Shotgun. Interview, Why Chris Tales is a new frontier for Colombian game development, by Jade King for The Gamer. Godzilla Battle Line is a great gacha monster battling game, by Ian Walker for Kotaku. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD makes motion controls unnecessary, by Suriel Vasquez for Polygon. And that's the last one, so I should have said and that. But, oh well.
Are you getting Skyward Sword?
Yes.
Okay.
I've never played it.
Okay.
And I'm doing this thing where, like, I'm trying not to miss out on Nintendo first-party releases. Because, I had a Wii, and I missed out on a lot. And instead I had random third-party games and a few things of shovelware.
I mean, it does give you then an interesting perspective on how games are valued or viewed. Like, if a new Zelda drops, I'll probably automatically go like, oh, it's going to be a good game. And you're like, will it though? And that kind of lends you to have a more critical eye on things we, as older fans, might overlook.
That makes sense. Yeah. Hey man, Spider-Man 3 for the Wii, an okay game.
I played it on PC and I enjoyed my time with it. It wasn't the greatest game, but I enjoyed my time.
It's like people are like, oh, the web swing is so good in Spider-Man PS4, and like it is, but Spider-Man 3 web swinging was pretty good too. Especially. I know it's cliche to say you feel like Spider-Man, but when you're playing with the Wii and the Wii mode and the nunchuck, you're actually moving your hands. So
okay.
Next up is the news rundown. We have one piece of bad-ish news, so I'll let the bearer of bad news and Shinigami himself take it away.
Bankai. So for our 100th episode, I'm thinking of doing something special for this segment, but we'll see.
Oh no.
Yes, oh no is right. First up, we have Ghostwire Tokyo delayed to early 2022. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Publisher Bethesda Softworks and developer Tango Gameworks have delayed Ghostwire Tokyo from its previously planned 2021 release window to early 2022. It will be available for PlayStation 5 and PC. There's like a message from Tango Gameworks. You can click on the article to read about it. A bummer news, but not unsurprising given the state of the world, and also Japan has not have had the best of luck with COVID. So
everything, yeah, not just that, but like this is a game we haven't really heard that much about for a while.
Well,
so it just kind of seemed like we were either going to see something about it, or maybe it would be delayed.
You know, Japanese game development is notably hush hush.
Yeah, but this is also a Microsoft-owned company.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
Still, I think talking is more than like not talking, but I digress.
Yeah, so that's all for the baddish news. In other news, Yokai Watch 1 for iOS and Android launches July 10th in Japan. This is by Sarumono for Gamatsu. Level 5 will release Yokai Watch 1 Smafo, a mobile version of the original Yokai Watch for iOS and Android on July 10th in Japan, the developer announced. It will cost 1,220 yen until August 16th at 12 Japanese Standard Time. That doesn't even say AM or PM. I don't even know what that means. After which the price will change to 1,960 yen. Yokai Watch 1 Smafo was previously announced as Yokai Watch for smartphone. Smafo, or Sumaho, is an abbreviation for smartphone in Japanese. So this was their 8th anniversary announcement.
Okay.
And this was a game that most fans thought was canceled. Because they announced it, and then we never heard anything about it until last week.
Can you blame them? It's level 5.
I know. I mean, 8th anniversary is also a weird number. Like, it's like a weird thing to celebrate in general. You know what I mean?
I think
it's like
I think we hold too much.
Well, not weird. Not like, weird. It's just compared to all the other stuff. We see 10th and 15th, and
that's
not
what
like
I was
randomly like an 8th.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, why the 5th or 10th or 15th anniversary? Why not 8th? Why not 7th? It's fine. It's an anniversary. It's a celebration.
It's level 5.
It's still a celebration. Like, I'm not gonna begrudge my child for wanting to celebrate their 8th birthday party. Like, no.
Will the mobile version of Yokai Watch be localized? No, probably not.
Like, I can already imagine. Like, no, Timmy, we're waiting till your 10th birthday to celebrate, not your 8th.
That's a person, not a video game.
Still, the same general idea applies.
I don't know. This is just such a weird thing, but yeah, it's level 5.
But come on, it's also that they should rather do something now than wait 2 years and like have all the news reports gather.
Well, this was supposed to be out ages ago.
No, but that's what I'm getting at. Like, why not now instead of 2 years later? Because people are...
No, that's not what I'm not saying they shouldn't release it for the 8th anniversary. I'm saying this is kind of, this is a little... I mean, we have a big announcement. Oh, that it's the game that we already knew was in development and didn't know what happened to it.
I mean, that's a good thing.
What the issue was.
That's a good thing.
No, I know. I'm trying to say... It's just weird, okay? I don't know what else I'm trying to say. How else to put it.
Okay.
Level 5 is weird.
Well, yeah. Next up, we have Final Fantasy 16 Scenario Complete, voice recording in final stages, and more. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. During the special talk session of Final Fantasy 14, the 7th 14-hour broadcast between Naoki Yoshida, Yosuke Saito, and Yoko Taro, Final Fantasy 16 producer Yoshida confirmed that the scenario for Final Fantasy 16 is nearly complete. and the voice recording is in its final stages, including English voiceovers. Additionally, regarding the announcement of new Final Fantasy XVI information, Yoshida said, "I'm not holding back more information just for the sake of it, but rather I want the next information to be something that will convince everyone to buy the game. The visual quality is a given, but battles and other unannounced major features will be included, and I want to present it like BAM. So nothing new until I'm satisfied." Yoshida also added, "I was thinking of showing something for Tokyo Game Show, but I don't think we can meet that deadline, probably. I want to show you guys something, but hope you can understand. You're going to be able to play it once it's out anyway." So yeah, fingers crossed we see something soon-ish.
I don't think it's this year. I really don't think it's this year. I think it'll be 2022 at the earliest.
Possible. But we'll see. I mean, when did they premiere the trailer? Like January this year, right?
Something like that.
So, like a year after announcement is not bad. Next up, Final Fantasy XIV Complete Edition sells out on PC and PS4. This is by Jenny Olada for Siliconera. At the moment, people are unable to buy Final Fantasy XIV Complete Edition PS4 and PC copies directly from Square Enix. Excuse me. Both are completely sold out on the company storefront. A waiting list is available for both versions. However, the Mac version is still listed as available. Shout out to Polydopamine on Reddit and etc. I mean, like, the Mac population is gonna be smaller than everything else, so makes sense. The Final Fantasy XIV Complete Edition contains everything up to Shadowbringers. This means people get the base game, the Heavensward, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers expansion packs, and 30-day free play period for people who haven't had one. The PC download and PS4 versions of the $59.99 US FF14 Complete Edition result in a waiting list notification if you attempt to buy them. You then have to provide your email and wait for Square Enix to contact you. While that Complete Edition is sold out, the single versions of the game and expansions are available from Square Enix. So someone could get the $20 Final Fantasy XIV Starter Edition for PC or Mac. They could also get the expansions separately, like the $40 Shadowbringers one, which is available on every platform. If I'm not mistaken, the Endwalker expansion is also sold out, like digitally, which is amazing.
Well, good thing I pre-ordered that when I did.
So the thing about the digital orders being sold out, it's not necessarily that they don't have generated keys to give out, but it could also be tied to their servers.
They're limiting sales. Yeah, they're limiting sales to make sure they can maintain server space.
Yeah. So it's not really that grim a scenario. It's just that they kind of have to scale up their server infrastructure probably, but that's also not always the best thing to do, because you can scale up servers, which cost a lot of money, and then when the player base eventually drops off, then you're left with servers that cost a lot of money, which is not really fiscally responsible of a company to do. Next up, Final Fantasy 13 outline exists. Possibility, not zero. This is by Sal Romano for Komatsu. The latest issue of Weekly Famitsu has a 30-page feature on the 20th anniversary of Final Fantasy X, which includes a special interview with Final Fantasy X character designer Tetsuya Nomura, event director Motomu Toriyama, scenario writer Kazushige Nojima, and more. In the interview, Nomura, Toriyama, and Nojima discussed the possibility of a Final Fantasy 13. No, not 13. Like 10-3. I just automatically read it as 13.
13.3?
Yeah.
Oh, they already made that.
No, that's different. Nojima has more or less written an outline of what a Final Fantasy X-3 would look like if it existed, Nomura said. The audio drama...
Is it based... on that?
Well, the audio drama Final Fantasy X Will, and novel sequel Final Fantasy X 2.5? Okay. Were written based on this. It's dormant now, but the concept itself exists. Toriyama added, the possibility isn't zero, but I can't talk about it until we finish production on Final Fantasy VII Remake first. Nojima added...
So that won't be for a long time.
Well, maybe within like 2 to 3 years, you'll probably see something more concrete.
I think it's going to be longer than that.
I mean, the infrastructure and the pipeline is there already, so...
That's true.
And they also already did a lot of legwork with Integrate, so I'm guessing it'll be fairly short. Nojima said, I had the opportunity to work with people who got into the games industry after playing Final Fantasy VII, but now that phase is shifting and I'm working with people who got into the industry after playing Final Fantasy X. We're all getting old. Is
that the one where Titus explodes?
I don't know. I haven't finished 10-2.
There's something about there's some kind of audio drama about and then I know there's something about at the end Titus explodes or something. I don't know.
No, not exactly. No. You can probably listen to it for free on YouTube. I'm sorry, Square Enix.
I thought it was in Japanese.
No, you have the audio drama as added bonus when you buy the HD remaster.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. You don't get
HD remaster is also available on Game Pass.
Let me double check for you.
Yeah, because 9 was the one they took out.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about 10 being removed from Game Pass anytime soon.
No. Although it could happen at any time.
I mean, sure, it's a rotating base, so it makes sense. Yeah, it's still on Game Pass. Okay. That was one. Then 3. Next up, we have Bravely Default Brilliant Lights announced for iOS and Android. This is by Sal Romano from Gamatsu. Square Enix has announced Bravely Default Brilliant Lights for iOS and Android. A release date was not announced, but it will be a free-to-play title with item-based in-app purchases. You can click on the article for a full breakdown. But yeah, more Bravely Default is not a bad thing. I don't know if you noticed Stealth tweeting the last few days, but he did mention that his feeling is that what's that team called again? Team Bravely Default? They're probably still working on a proper sequel to Bravely Default, but that would be after Project Triangle Strategy and after the Dragon Quest 3 remake.
What's the one that came out first? Or no, it didn't come out for Switch yet. It had the demo, right?
Triangle Strategy.
No, the Bravely one that's on Switch.
Bravely Default 2?
Was it Bravely Default 2?
Yeah.
That didn't come out yet, right? Or did that come out?
Yeah.
When did that come out? I don't even remember.
Like,
I just remember there was a demo.
The end of last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never played that. I mean, I tried the first Bravely Default. Couldn't really get into it. Love the music, though.
It's turn-based, though. So how is this not your jam?
It was a long time ago. I don't know.
I mean, it came out February 26th, so maybe give it another try. I misspoke. I didn't mean...
No. In the first one, I couldn't get into.
Oh.
The second one, I played the demo, and I didn't play that much of the demo.
Okay. I also misspoke. I didn't mean a new Bravely Default was probably in development. A new Octopath Traveler was probably in development.
Oh, okay.
Probably. Emphasis on probably. We're not breaking any news here.
Yeah. We don't have those exclusive bits.
Not yet.
Next up, Dragon Quest Dai mobile game will launch globally this fall. This is by Kite Stenbuck for Siliconera. Square Enix has revealed a launch window for the upcoming mobile game Dragon Quest The Adventure of Dai, A Hero's Bonds. It will be available worldwide in fall 2021. The launch window revelation came through a post-closed beta test report published by the development team. The report's English version also mentioned a fall 2021 release window. According to the report, most of the closed beta test players showed interest in playing the full release of A Hero's Bonds. The positive feedback generally praised the high reenactment degree of the Adventure of Dai's original works and the simple yet engaging gameplay system. The latter includes the fun factor in collecting and upgrading weapons as well as launching moves during battles. However, the testers also gave some criticism to the closed beta build. The tutorial and battles took too long to complete, and the difficulty balance was also deemed as poor. The development team will address these issues until the full launch. For example, it will allow players to skip completed battles to reduce repetition. Dragon Quest The Adventure of Dai Heroes Bonds, also known in Japan as Spirit of Bonds, will be available for Android and iOS mobile devices simultaneously worldwide with all supported languages in fall 2021. I might try it. But I'm much more excited for Infinity Strash.
I'm still not wild about that name.
It's because that's what his attacks are called, and they're a strike and a slash.
I'm still not wild about that name.
It's like when you name a Naruto game Rasengan Chronicle. I guess there's no one.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure there's an example somewhere. I don't know. Of some anime being turned into a game and using the anime attack as the title. I don't know. Next up, Dusk Diver 2 announced for PS4, PC, and Nintendo Switch. This is by Andrew Kia for Siliconera. JFI Games has announced that Dusk Diver 2 will release for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and PC via Steam in winter 2021. The action RPG was announced at the Taipei Game Developers Forum and will be a direct sequel to 2019's Dusk Diver. Dusk Diver is an action RPG set in the real-world city of Jimending, located in Taiwan. It follows the story of Yang Yumo, a high schooler who must protect the city from invading demons traveling between the real world and an alternate dimension called Yushanding. The game released in North America and Europe back in October 2019 for Nintendo Switch, PC, and PlayStation 4. The 26-second announcement trailer also revealed that Dusk Diver's main protagonist Yumo will return in Dusk Diver 2. Additionally, the video description notes that some time has passed since the events of Dusk Diver, as the then high schooler Yumo is now a freshman in university. JFI Games plans to release new information about the sequel's characters, settings, and changes via Dusk Diver 2's official website, Facebook page, and Twitter account. If you're interested in reading more about the Dusk Diver series, check out our review of the first game. The announcement was part of Taipei Game Developers Forum, the live stream panel where producer Lancelot Chu talked about the series development. I did not know this was not a Japan-developed game.
Did you not? That's surprising.
I had no idea.
Huh. Interesting.
But it always looked kind of the gameplay always looked kind of interesting to me.
It looks pretty slick.
Next up, Super Robot Wars 30 launches October 28th in Japan and Asia. Release date set for 30th anniversary Super Robot Wars game. This is by Saramano for Gamatsu. Super Robot Wars 30 will launch for PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC via Steam on October 28th in Japan and Asia with English subtitles, Bandai Namco announced. In Japan, the game will cost 8,600 yen for the standard physical and digital edition, 13,500 yen for the digital deluxe edition, and 16,500 yen for the digital ultimate edition. A physical super limited edition will also be available for 28,600 yen. Early purchases of the physical edition and pre-orders of the digital edition will include 3 exclusive bonus missions. Bonus mission number 1, Spirit of Steel, includes Mecha SRX and Power Part Striker Scope and Defender Arm. Bonus mission number 2, The Elemental Lord, includes Mecha Psybuster and Power Parts Cyclone Booster and Sky Charm. Bonus mission number 3, Special Starter Pack, includes Power Part Military Academy 30 ID, 50,000 credit, 500 PP, and 3,000 MXP. Digital edition will also include the following exclusive bonus. Includes Power Part Accelerator 30, 50,000 credits, 500 PP, and 3,000 MXP. The participating works in Super Robot Wars 30 are Brave Police J. Decker, Code Geass Le Louch of the Resurrection, Code Geass Le Louch of the Rebellion 3 Glorification, Mecha Only, Getter Robo Armageddon, Gun Sword, Heavy Metal L Game, Elgheim, Knights and Magic, Magic Knight Rayearth, Majestic Prince, Mazinger Z Infinity, Mazin Kaiser Infinitism Mecha Only, Missing Mobile Suit Variations, MSV Mecha Only, Mobile Suit Gundam Mecha Only, Mobile Suit Gundam Narrative, Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack, Mobile Suit Victory Gundam, Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, SSSS Gridman, Super Electromagnetic Robot Combattler V, The King of Braves Gao Gaigar Final Mecha Only, The King of Braves Gao Gaigar Final versus Better Man, and Zeta Gundam Mobile Suit Variations Mecha Only. And then there's some original characters and stuff. And then after that, we got news that this is coming west.
Yeah.
The licensing gods have smiled upon us once again.
Okay.
Super Robot Wars 30 Steam page launches. This is by Jenny Lotta for Siliconera. Super Robot Wars 30 will have a wider audience as the Steam page can be viewed outside Japan and Asia and includes a trailer with an ESRB rating pending notification. If someone views the product's listing video, it begins with the ESRB notice. Also, the Steam DB page only lists Venezuela under the countries where it won't be able to be purchased. Bandai Namco also confirmed it later on. This comes following an English... Yeah, okay. The Steam listing for Super Robot Wars 30 confirmed US prices and editions. The standard one will cost $59.99. There will be an $84.99 deluxe edition, which includes a season pass and a bonus mission pack. The ultimate edition will be $104.99 and include the season pass, the bonus mission pack, and the premium sound and data pack. Pre-ordering any of those three will also get people the Spirit of Steel and the Lord of Elemental missions, a pre-order bonus enhancement pack, and a special starter pack. It will launch on Switch, PS4, and PC on October 28th in Japan and Asia. While it'll be appear on Steam for PCs worldwide on October 27th. So yeah, new localized Super Robot Wars.
I'll probably get it.
I didn't know we have gotten Super Robot Wars games before, but the reason we got them is because it was all original characters.
Yeah, it's easier to license all of that. Yeah. As soon as this announcement popped up, that I saw not Cat. What's her name again?
Cat Bailey.
Yeah, Cat Bailey ordering the Ultimate Edition, and I'm like, yeah, that's her jam.
Yeah, so we had like one for GBA and one for DS, and it was all original characters. So I'm wondering if Bandai maybe makes the toys for all these specific franchises, and that's maybe why it was a little easier this time around.
It's not just the toys; it's like the total package of intellectual property rights. Like you can still sell the toys, and another company has the rights to the DVDs or Blu-rays, and that kind of goes into who owns the digital media likeness of this property, and are we able to do? Mm-hmm.
I saw an article, I don't know where, but it might have been Kotaku and it might have been something else, about how like copyright laws might be changing in Japan. I don't think this had to do with that because this was obviously made before, but I need to read that article because I don't know where exactly I saw it.
It's going to take a long ass time before Japan
it may be very interesting.
changes their copyright laws.
Yeah. I'll try to put on recommended reading next week. Next up, Samurai Warriors 5 demo arrives next week. This is by Jenny Lotta for Siliconera once again.
Told you.
There will be an opportunity... What?
I told you.
There will be an opportunity to try the new Samurai Warriors game ahead of launch. Koei Tecmo announced that a Samurai Warriors 5 demo will appear on every platform. Both the North American and European Twitter accounts confirmed it will appear in both regions on July 20th, 2021. The company also went over what people can expect from the trial. This sounds like a situation where people will be playing through the first part of Samurai Warriors 5 when playing the demo. There will be 4 people you can use. There will be Hideyoshi Hashiba, No, the character's name is just No, Tokugawa Ieyasu, and Toshie Made. You will also only have 2 stages that you can run through as these warriors. When you save in the trial, you can then use that file in the full game. Just remember that what you see is what you get in this latest entry. Koei Tecmo confirmed that there won't be any DLC characters. The final roster only includes people in the base game. I don't know how big the roster is. I know it includes Yasuke.
Yeah.
Samurai Warriors 5 will launch on July 27th, 2021 on PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC, and the demo will appear on July 20th.
See?
So I will definitely check this out. Maybe I'll make an arcade video on it.
See, I told you there'd be a demo. Next up, full.
I mean, there was a Japanese demo. You mean just an English?
Yeah,
one?
because the thing is, the release date was nearing, and you're kind of wondering, will they still put out a demo? Because there's not a lot of time left.
Yeah.
And lo and behold,
a week before. Yeah.
it's still a demo. Next up,
I can actually decide.
Yeah. Fullmetal Alchemist Mobile announced for iOS and Android. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Square Enix has...
I was right.
I think I also said so. Like we both said, like, it's probably going to be a mobile release.
I said it could be a game. And I'm like, for all I know, it could be a mobile game.
Yeah. Square Enix has announced Fullmetal Alchemist Mobile for iOS and Android. A release date was not announced. More information will be announced this winter, and you can watch the trailer below. It doesn't really add too much. Just if you're interested, just watch it. Yeah, it could be something. It's probably going to be a gacha RPG. Maybe you draw like the alchemy circles with your fingers on the screen. But yeah, kind of like Dawn of Sorrow on DS, the Castlevania game.
The Castlevania game, yeah.
No. Next up is Hideo Kojima would rather call Death Stranding Director's Cut Director's Plus. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. On Twitter, Hideo Kojima took to voicing his opinion over the naming conventions of the newly announced Death Stranding Director's Cut. In the thread, he explained the terminology behind Director's Cut in film-related circles. Kojima then elaborated the difference between a Director's Cut and what he calls a Director's Plus. Additionally, he stated that in his opinion, he wouldn't like the upcoming release to be referred to as Director's Cut. Okay. Instead, Kojima would prefer to have called the Death Stranding Director's Cut a Director's Plus for the following reasons. He said a Director's Cut is a result of edits made to shorten the film due to runtime, or a version of the film that the director did not have the right to edit. However, this is untrue for games. Kojima elaborates that in his circumstance, content wasn't cut but was produced instead. So this kind of makes me think that Sony wants to emphasize the cinematic quality of their first-party releases. Like, if you want big blockbuster gaming, you come to Sony. We even have director's cuts. Like, people who don't know the difference between the media, like movies and video games, won't know any better. But for other people like me, it's kind of annoying that it's not wholly accurate. Like what happened to the definitive edition is right there. Just don't call it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is with definitive editions and ultimate editions, they can still be lacking every piece of content. Like the Tekken 7 Ultimate Edition doesn't have Season Pass 3. What is up with that? Don't do it. So yeah.
I don't know. People are talking about how like, oh, this is just the trend now. Instead of definitive edition, it's director's cut now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is it? Does it have to be? I liked definitive edition, or like different variations on definitive edition. Yeah. Definitive edition.
That's a horrible name, and we should never.
Darksiders.
We should never let it return.
I think it's a lot better than director's cut. When it's not actually a director's cut.
Director's cut still has this sound of prestige to it. Definitive edition.
Video games don't have to be movies.
No, I'm not saying they have to be movies. I'm just saying it has an added air of prestige to it.
Anyway, next story. A sealed copy of Super Mario 64 just sold for a record-breaking $1.56 million just days after the previous record was set. This is by Ryan Craddock for Nintendo Life. Over the weekend, the world record for the highest priced video game sale was well and truly smashed, with an ultra-rare copy of The Legend of Zelda on NES selling for a mind-blowing $870,000 USD. It's a number that's impossible for most of us to even comprehend, and we would never have expected to see a video game sell for such a high amount ever. Now, though that 87K sounds piddly, yesterday that record was broken yet again, this time by a sealed, immaculate copy of Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64. The game sold for an unbelievable $1,560,000 USD, which is just, well, what? The sale took place at Heritage Auctions, who had this to say about the sealed game. Super Mario 64, Wata 9.8, A++ sealed, N64, Nintendo 1996 USA. Well, we're a bit speechless on this one. What can we even say that would do this copy the justice it deserves? The cultural significance of this title and its importance to the history of video games is paramount, and the condition of this copy is just so breathtaking that we're really at a loss here. If you have had your heart set on obtaining the highest graded copy of the single best-selling video game on the Nintendo 64, the first 3D adventure of Nintendo's mascot Mario, we only have one piece of advice. This is not an opportunity to waste. Somebody definitely didn't let that opportunity go to waste. Here's a closer look at the front of the back of the box. It's very cool and all, but 1.5 million? We don't need...
We don't need
this. We don't need retro games going up in price artificially just because they look nice.
It's not about looking nice. It's about something from a bygone era, like 10, 20 years ago, that is in a pristine condition and sealed correctly or preserved correctly. That all...
I still think it's kind of ridiculous.
I mean, comic books and Pokemon cards shot up in price.
I think that's ridiculous too. I think it's all ridiculous.
Material objects have some worth, and some of them increase in value over time, and some depreciate in value over time.
Yeah. Also, don't worry. If you're looking to play Super Mario 64, don't worry. There are plenty of copies of the 3D All-Stars collection for Switch at your local retailer. I guarantee you, because Target still has them.
For now,
yeah, has a lot of copies. Because I guess a lot of people don't realize that there are still copies around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just don't like.
It's fine.
I think it's kind of ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. It's happened before and happened again. Like in 20, 30 years, you'll probably have like a copy of Tabe Oja selling for $1 million.
I guarantee you, Tabe Oja will not be selling. Tabe Oja will not be selling for $1 million.
I mean, it's possible. I'm just saying it's possible. Like it's a very niche title that not many people own in the West. So, like, keep that sucker sealed properly.
I don't even know if that many people own it in Japan, to be honest.
Well, there you go.
I don't hear about it after the initial videos about it. Anyway, speaking of games that could be cost a lot in the future, UK charts. Monster Hunter Stories 2 earns third place debut in another decent week for Nintendo. So this was only the UK charts, but Mario Golf falls to fourth. This is by Ryan Craddock for Nintendo Life. UK physical chart data is now in for the week ending July 10th, revealing that Monster Hunter Stories 2 has managed to grab third place in its debut week. The game was outsold by FIFA 21, which is perhaps not all that surprising, considering all the Euro 2020 hype, and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, the latter of which has returned to number 1 after a couple weeks away. The result means that Stories 2 hasn't managed to match the success of Monster Hunter Rise, which debuted in first place when it launched back in March. The game does lead a long list of Switch exclusive all lined up in the top 10, however, with Nintendo-only games making up half the table. Also, what I noticed over the weekend is that it was a Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin was a top seller on Steam. Like, it was... Hold on, let me see. I want to say it was like the third best-selling new release over the weekend, possibly. But yeah, like I said, I have all these friends who I would never think would play it are like picking it up and playing it and really enjoying it. And there's a lot of people going like, "Oh man, this does stuff better than Pokemon does." I'm like, "Oh, this argument again." But on one hand, I'm like, "Oh, not this again." But on the other hand, I'm like, "Yay, more people are trying this."
Yeah, it's fun. Like, the Switch is vastly more popular and accessible than the 3DS.
Oh no, most of the people I know who have gotten in on Steam.
Yeah, I'm getting to that, and couple that with the pretty aggressive marketing campaign Capcom has had for Monster Hunter Stories 2, and like you said, Steam also being an available option, it just leads to more people being aware of the game and having more avenues of purchasing it. Like, some people might not have had a 3DS at the time, or do have a gaming PC but don't intend on getting a console anytime soon, and this just lines up perfectly.
Yeah, so as of right now, it says right now I'm looking at the Steam top sellers by relevance, and for actual games right now, it is the 1, 2, 3. It is in like 6th place, but over the weekend it was in 3rd place. At least according to this.
So it's having healthy sales.
It had getting mostly positive Steam reviews. It had like 30,000 or so concurrent users. So that's pretty good.
Okay.
I'd very much like to see what the total sales are in the future.
Well,
when Capcom releases them.
Capcom being Capcom, they'll probably release it within a month or 3.
Yeah. So I look forward to that. But it's selling better than I expected, and I'm sure all that marketing helped.
Yeah.
And every Nintendo Direct and the Capcom and the Capcom presentation and all that.
Yes. Next up, we have Persona Series 25th Anniversary website launch teases 7 new projects. This is by Salramando for Gamatsu. Atlas has opened the Persona Series 25th Anniversary website, which teases 7 projects to be announced between September 2021 and fall 2022. As of 2021, the Persona series has sold over 15 million copies worldwide, the website reads. To all our fans that have supported us for so long, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And this coming September, the Persona series will finally celebrate its 25th anniversary. To show our gratitude to everyone, we are preparing a number of celebrations for the Persona 25th anniversary year, which will last for about 1 year from September 2021 to fall 2022. It's a thing we've seen with all Japanese game anniversaries, where they celebrate like not just the year of, but the next year as well. It continues from the 25th anniversary goods and various events to game news and more. We will be making all sorts of anniversary announcements. Please look forward to them. Okay, so if you have seen like various like snippets of the website online, you'll notice that there's a series of protagonist portraits, and the 8th one is labeled secret with no protagonist shown or no image shown. So that led to a lot of people speculating, oh, So at the end of the anniversary celebration, we'll probably get a reveal of Persona 6 and its protagonist, which maybe. It's also a different studio handling Persona these days. It's the Persona 4 Golden and 5 Royal studio, if I'm not mistaken. And the P Studios is doing Project Re-Fantasy. My thoughts are that they're probably working on a definitive edition of Persona 3. As you said, maybe a new dancing game. A new arena game is...
Racing all afternoon.
Probably not. A new arena game.
Persona 2 remake.
Maybe a Persona Q3, but I think that's unlikely. Maybe a new Persona Strikers, but with another cast of characters. Or maybe that they'll have like a full-on Persona Universe Strikers game with P3 to 5 featured in the game.
That'll be cool.
Yeah. But as for P1 to 3, will they be getting remakes? It's tough to say because they're older games and you'd need a whole dedicated team to either port a game or remake from the ground up. And I'm guessing the current Persona team isn't as big as we think they are. But it could be that they're partnering with someone else and thus are able to deliver something. But we'll see. What do you think it'll be? Barring a racing all night game.
Racing all afternoon?
Yeah.
I think that's actually... I think I keep saying that. I think there's actually like a Persona fan game called that.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. I think at the end, we'll probably see Persona 6. But I'm hoping for Persona 3 port. Honestly, I'm hoping for a PC ports of all the old Persona games.
That would be cool.
Well, besides Persona 4 Golden, of course.
So you mentioned Persona 2 a lot. Have you played both of them?
No. I've always been very interested in them.
Oh, okay. I think there's a PSP remake of the first part, and the second part is available on PlayStation Classics.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, it has a similar color scheme to Persona 5, and, like, remaking it into, like, a more modernized version, with, the Persona 5 gameplay mechanics, but then, like, maybe putting some own twist on it. Would be interesting.
The thing where it probably might not be likely is that Persona mostly focuses on high school age protagonists. And if I'm not mistaken, the second part of Persona 2 has more college-aged characters.
Oh, I know a lot of fans want that.
Yeah, they probably want that, but it's probably outside the wheelhouse. But then again, you always want to have something new for a long-running series. Yeah. So we'll see soon enough.
We'll see.
All right.
There's probably going to be some kind of mobile game as well.
There is. Like, I think it's called King?
Well, there could be another one.
No, it's the one that was supposed to be coming. Which is probably going to be like a gacha RPG. Like they could port the dancing games to mobile. That is a possibility because you do have rhythm games on mobile.
Breaking news. Monster Hunter Legends of the Guild debuts on Netflix August 12th.
Oh, that's cool.
The animated Monster Hunter series. It's like CG animated.
Is it like a continuation of the stories anime, or is it like something new?
It's, you know him as the ace cadet or excited A-lister. Now let's meet young Aiden, the self-proclaimed hunter, in an epic quest to save his village.
So not...
It was a character from the game.
Not a continuation of stories.
Oh, no, it has nothing to do with stories. This is a movie, not a series. Will it be better than the Paul W.S. Anderson film? Yeah, probably. That's a pretty low bar to clear.
I have seen the movie. I wish I didn't see the movie. That's all.
I still need to. Next up, Phil Spencer compliments DualSense and suggests Xbox could update its controller. We kind of look at some of that and think there are things that we should go do. This is from Video Games Chronicle by Andy Robinson. Microsoft stuck to a familiar design for its Xbox Series X/S pads, only making minor changes to its design and under-the-hood improvements. In comparison, Sony opted to totally redesign its controller with new features such as haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. Speaking as part of the latest Kinda Funny Gamescast, Spencer said that Xbox probably wouldn't release any major bespoke accessories such as VR headsets in the near future, but suggested that an updated controller was far more likely to happen. When I think about our hardware roadmap, and I really love the evolution of Liz Hamren's team and the work that they've done, he said. We're definitely thinking about different kinds of devices that can bring more games to more places. There's probably some work that we'll do on the controller. I think Sony's done a nice job with their controller, and we kind of look at some of that and think there are things we should go do. But we're probably not in the more bespoke accessories place right now, he added. We just look at what happens on Windows and other places and see if there's a unique opportunity for us. Right now, I don't think there's anything that's obvious to me. Earlier this year, Microsoft used a customer experience survey to ask Xbox Series X/S owners if they would like to see any PlayStation controller features made available for its consoles. Asked specifically about the likelihood of Xbox getting into the VR or AR space with its own peripherals, Spencer told Kinda Funny this was not really something it was planning. We're watching what happens on PC, he said. As it relates to VR specifically, the best experience that I've seen is Quest 2, and I think its untethered and ease of use in its capability just doesn't, to me, require it being connected to an Xbox in any way. So when I look at a scenario like that, I think of xCloud, I think of the Xbox Live community, I think of other things of how could we bring content to a screen like that. Whether we do something like that through first-party or third-party partnerships is kind of a second step. We think the games that we currently have that we're able to run on our platform would work there. So, whatever happened to the Microsoft HoloLens?
HoloLens is like something people are developing with. It's not really consumer ready. And it's augmented reality, so it's a different branch of.
Well, they said VR or AR in the question.
Well, it hasn't been a priority for Microsoft to include VR or AR in this generation of Xbox, and I can't blame them because VR, while miles better from what we had in the past 20 to 30 years, it's still not setting the world on fire. It's still not consolidated yet in such a way that, you have expectations in what you can get quality wise, and the controls aren't universally satisfying yet to a degree that you'd say comfortably, yes, I want to spend the majority of my time in VR. There's just so many limitations yet, but it's probably something that'll be less and less as we move on through the years.
Yeah, so that was interesting. We'll see how the Xbox controller improvements play out. Next up is Netflix plans to offer video games in push beyond films TV. This is by Lucas Shaw and Mark Gurman for Bloomberg. Netflix Incorporated, making its first big move beyond TV shows and films, is planning an expansion into video games and has hired a former Electronics Arts, former EA and Facebook executive to lead the effort. Mike Verdu will join Netflix as Vice President of Game Development, reporting to Chief Operating Officer Greg Peters, the company said on Wednesday. Verdu was previously Facebook's Vice President in charge of working with developers to bring games and other content to Oculus virtual reality headsets. The idea is to offer video games on Netflix's streaming platform within the next year. according to a person familiar with the situation. The games will appear alongside current fare as a new programming genre, similar to what Netflix did with documentaries or stand-up specials. The company doesn't currently plan to charge extra for the content, said the person, who asked not to be identified because the deliberations are private. Netflix has been seeking ways to keep growing, especially in more saturated markets such as the U.S. That's included building out its kids programming, opening an online shop to sell merchandise, and tapping Steven Spielberg to bring more prestigious movies to its lineup. The company remains well ahead of streaming rivals such as Disney Plus or HBO Max, but added fewer subscribers than expected in its most recently reported quarter. Pushing into games would be one of Netflix's boldest moves yet. In Verdue, the company has an executive who worked on popular mobile games at EA, including titles in The Sims, Plants vs. Zombies, and Star Wars franchises. He also served as Chief Creative Officer for Zynga Incorporated between 2009 and 2012. Netflix will be building out its gaming team in the coming months, according to a person familiar with the matter. The company has already started advertising for a game development-related position on its website. This feels like a significant event with broad ramifications across the video games landscape. City analyst Jason Bazinet wrote in a note Thursday. He said Netflix's moves create obvious risks for larger game developers and publishers. Video games give Netflix another way to lure customers and also offer something none of its direct competitors currently provides. Walt Disney Company, AT&T Incorporated, Warner Media, and Amazon.com Incorporated all have access to live sports, but they don't have gaming within their main video services. Ultimately, the move may make it easier for Netflix to justify price increases in the coming years. Games also serve the purpose of helping market existing shows. There's more on that, but I don't think we need. This is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they've already hinted at this in the past. They've already experimented with this with, if I'm not mistaken, Black Mirror, and maybe something.
The Bandersnatch,
yeah.
And Carmen Sandiego had one as well.
Yeah, so it's not a bad move, but we'll see if they're able to pull through and really deliver on this, because streaming game content is not easy, but I'm guessing Netflix has the infrastructure to facilitate that. But then again, we also said the same of Google, so who really knows?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it how it works out.
Let's just hope the content is there, and if the content is there and the support is there, then the people will follow, because like basically everyone has Netflix these days, so it's the easiest way to flow into becoming a gamer, if that makes sense. But yeah, we'll see. Next up is free-to-play, team-based first-person shooter Gundam Evolution announced. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Bandai Namco Online has announced free-to-play, team-based first-person shooter Gundam Evolution. Platforms are to be announced, but a closed beta test will be held on PC from August 8th to 9th in Japan. A full release is planned for 2022. You can click on the article for a full breakdown of details, and the trailer looks nice. It's kind of like a hero shooter, but with a Gundam skin, which is not a bad thing. Like, nailing the feel of being in a Gundam is a tricky thing, and maybe this is the way to go, but we'll see. And you know, Gundam being such a wide variety of franchises within a franchise lends itself to having like a pretty hefty roster of characters and Gundams or mechs for this game, which could be cool. But no mention of a Western release as of yet. But we'll see.
Yeah,
they've been good to us so far, so I'm guessing you'll see something soon enough. Next up, Resident Evil Reverse delayed to 2022. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu.
Oh wait, hold on. I do have something to say about the Gundam thing.
Okay.
It kind of seems, the gameplay. Did you watch the trailer?
Yes.
The gameplay seems very, Overwatch like.
Yeah, like I said, it's like a hero shooter.
Yeah, but I'm actually interested in it, and it's not made by Blizzard.
Is that like a requirement that it shouldn't be made by Blizzard?
I don't know. But it's interesting because, I'm not usually interested in hero shooters. Like, Apex is kind of the exception to that.
That's more an arena
counts.
shooter than a hero shooter.
I mean, what's the difference?
A hero.
Oh, I guess
a hero.
I guess hero shooter is team based, and you're not worrying about a ring closing, probably, right?
Yes. So like, Apex is more. What's the title called again? Battle Royale. But they do have added modes now. But they do also
it is more
have the hero capabilities. But it's not a hero shooter, as in like Unreal Tournament,
Overwatch or Valorant,
or Overwatch or Valorant.
Valorant. Yeah. Okay. Well, so this is pretty much the first hero shooter I've been interested in since like the first Overwatch beta.
Okay.
Back in the day. So yeah, I'm super excited for this.
All right.
And I'm hopefully it's good. Sorry, I zoned out for a second, and then I was like, oh no, he's talking about the Gundam thing.
Okay. Next up,
I believe I'm watching the Gundam movie soon as well with some friends.
Okay.
Those are on Netflix. You can watch the original Gundam trilogy.
Yes. Next up is Resident Evil Reverse delayed to 2022. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Capcom has delayed Resident Evil Reverse from its previously planned July release window to 2022. Resident Evil Reverse is a standalone multiplayer game included free with all purchases of Resident Evil Village. It will be available for PS4, Xbox One, and PC via Steam. I think that's outdated. It's now also on PS5 and the Xbox series of consoles. Capcom's full statement on delay can be found in the article. Give Sal Romano and Gamatsu a click-see. Is it disappointing? Maybe, but there wasn't really all that much hype attached to Resident Evil Reverse, so maybe they're trying to like rejigger it into something that looks closer to what Resident Evil should look like instead of kind of this colorful,
a little more like Mercenaries.
Maybe, but we'll see.
Next up, we have Pokemon Unite for Switch launches July 21st. Log in by August 31st to receive Zero Aura. This is by Saramano for Gamatsu. Pokemon Unite will launch for Switch on July 21st. The Pokemon Company and developer Timmy Studio Group announced. It will be free to start with optional in-game purchases available. As previously announced, iOS and Android versions will follow in September. Users who log into the Switch version of Pokemon Unite by August 31st will receive a Unite license for Zeraora, which will allow trainers to use the Pokemon in battle. Zeraora can close the distance between itself and its opponents in the blink of an eye, just like lightning, and deal massive amounts of damage all at once, the Pokemon Company said in a press release. Its Unite move, Plasma Gale, sends out a powerful electric blast that creates a zone of plasma around the area where the blast hits. And there's an overview of the game. This Pokemon MOBA is looking interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what the full roster looks like.
I think it'll.
I'm looking at the trailer. We got. Wait, hang on. We have Pikachu, Charizard. I forgot what that one's called, but it's from Gen 8, and it looks like a big rice ball. I forgot what that one's called. Lucario, Greninja.
Snorlax.
Cinderace, Snorlax, Gengar, Talonflame, Venusaur. Maybe just in this video. It's probably bigger than that. I also see Mr. Mime and Slowpoke, and so we'll see. Looks very interesting. I'm not into MOBAs, but I might try this one out.
Okay. Next up, we have Valve announces the Steam Deck, a $400 handheld gaming PC. This is by...
This is the biggest news of today.
Tom Marks for IGN. After rumors in May, Valve has now officially announced the Steam Deck, a handheld gaming PC arriving later this year. IGN has an exclusive hands-on with the Steam Deck as part of this month's IGN First. as well as an FAQ with Valve about the device, but here's the essential info. The Steam Deck has a form factor similar to that of a slightly larger Nintendo Switch, but with the capabilities of a full gaming PC. It runs on a modified version of Valve's Steam OS, complete with a new console-like interface for easy navigation of both the Steam store and your Steam library. But it also provides access to an unrestricted computer desktop where any third-party applications can be installed, including non-Steam games or launchers. In terms of hardware, the Steam Deck has a 7-inch 1280 by 800 resolution, 60 Hz LCD screen, a custom AMD APU featuring a 4-core 8-thread CPU paired with 8 RDNA 2 compute units for the GPU and 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM. If that all sounds like French to you, you can compare it to a PS4 or an Xbox One, but using the latest version of their respective hardware. It is, I would say, marginally better, marginally, like a bit better than a Switch in terms of capabilities and hardware prowess.
Yeah.
Moving on. Practically speaking,
especially the one with a ton of room. What was the most expensive model?
The most expensive model is $650 US for 12 gigabytes of NVMe SSD storage. Moving on. Practically speaking, that makes it a substantial amount stronger than the Switch, allowing it to run modern games impressively well. As a point of reference, I was able to play Jedi Fallen Order on an in-development Steam Deck at high graphical settings with little to no issue. It can even suspend running games like a console, and Valve says the intent is to really give players access to their entire Steam library. So a lot of good stuff here. You have to click on the article or watch the videos they have on IGN. Looks mighty impressive, and I tweeted it out. It's probably not a big danger to the Switch, because the Switch at its base model is still $200 cheaper, which is a lot more attractive for the common consumer or families or parents looking to buy something for their kids. It's a bit smaller than the Steam Deck, and the thing that Nintendo Switch has over Steam Deck is discoverability of games. You can go into a store and see the games on shelf, and you can ask someone to point you to the best family-friendly game. Steam, you'd kind of have to be in the know of what Steam is and how to navigate that storefront, and I don't think the average consumer is all that interested in learning that language. And it's also going to be a tougher sell for parents, because you're going to be okay, you're going to have to download this app store or use this app store and navigate through pages and pages of games to find that's suitable for you and your children. Or you yourself, which is not an attractive proposition for a lot of people, because some people just don't want to put that work in. Having that said, for the enthusiast press and enthusiast gamers, this is a really solid device. It runs games 720p at pretty good performance. It can practically run every available Steam game to date. There's also a dock which upscales the games to 4K resolution, which is really impressive. It's kind of what we hope the Switch Pro would be, and Valve is delivering on it, and it's really an attractive proposition, especially when games.
Valve announced the Switch Pro.
It's a very attractive proposition because Steam has a lot of good sales, and games are on PC much cheaper than they are on console, so that helps. We'll see how this fares in the long run. I do think this is the first piece of hardware that Steam has built that really screams to me, hey, I am ready for the hands of consumers. Not like Steam Link, Steam Controller, or a Steam Box, which
Steam Box,
which they've had their varying rates of success. But yeah, it's looking mighty fine.
Yeah, so I'm looking into this, not just because I can play a bunch more games handheld, but also because of the dock. And like, I prefer playing my games on my TV to my monitor, because, and I know I could just connect the computer and the HDMI and all that, but it's just such a hassle to switch back like that, that it would just be nice to have that. I just hope there's an easy way to, because not all games have cloud save.
On Steam, they do. The only thing that doesn't have cloud saves as of yet is if a game goes into suspended animation. I think in the IGN video, they did say that they're working on that and might have something on that soon. But
so I just have to be better about backing up my save data, because when I had to get this new computer, some of my save files and a couple indie games were gone.
That's curious, because I've had no problem with Steam cloud saves. You can like manually upload them to the cloud and then have them at the ready.
Yeah, that's probably what I should do.
But yeah, you did mention that this is attractive to you, so that you can also dock it, but you also have. I
also like the handheld because I like handhelds.
No, I was getting at, you already have a PS5 and an Xbox Series X. Doesn't it just kind of like overlap what you have there?
No, because those are more for Xbox is kind of more for Game Pass and exclusives, and PS5 is definitely more for exclusives. Steam is like, this is more like games I can play with, like, because remember, in my personal life, my group of friends primarily plays on PC, so this makes that a bit easier. And dealing with the PC is so annoying to me sometimes, when like, oh, this game doesn't work because there's some thing that's messed up that you have to figure out, or that doesn't happen often these days, but it just, I don't know. It just seems more games that I can play handheld while sitting in bed or sitting on the couch. That's always good news.
Okay. But aren't you afraid?
I love handhelds.
Aren't you afraid that you're gonna run into an issue of having too much of the same thing? Not that I'm like criticizing your choice for going for this potentially, but if you have like an Xbox sitting next to a PS5 and then next to a Switch and next to this docked next to your TV, won't it kind of become overwhelming to you?
No.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, I'm still deciding on it. It just seems like such a neat thing, and I'm just like, yeah, this sounds interesting. I just hope, I think it will, because most games on Steam already support it. Like, you can just connect a wired Xbox controller to it.
Yeah. Yeah, this has capabilities for USB and Bluetooth, so it's a PC in a very small form factor. You could run Windows 11 on this.
I guarantee you,
probably.
If I hadn't had to get a new computer a couple months ago, I would have started using that computer exclusively for podcast stuff and writing, and then I'd have this, because I will always prefer like console to actual PC stuff.
Yeah,
even though this is technically a PC, and you know all that. Yeah.
I mean, even a console is also a PC, but we're gonna go into the weeds if we're gonna have to define everything.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know. This definitely looks promising. I'm looking out for it. Will I get it? That's gonna be a good question, because I just built a gaming PC. Having my games be portable, like I can go to the office or out on this trip and have my games with me. is great, but then I'm like carrying so many things. Like I'll have to be carrying my Switch, my Steam Deck, and it's like maybe not, but we'll see.
No. Yeah, I'll see. Again, it's mostly because I really like handhelds, and that handhelds still exist in some form, and that we have handhelds this We're gonna have handhelds this powerful. Like, that just makes me really happy. We're far from the days of the Game Boy Color and the Sega Game Gear, which everybody was saying this looks like.
Yeah, but I also want to make a quick point. It's 720p in handheld because that's kind of like the sweet spot. You're not going to notice 1080p or 4K on a handheld screen. I'm sorry. You're just not.
I thought it was 1280 on handheld.
No, like the max...
Steam Deck has a 7-inch 1280 by 800 resolution.
Yes, but the games run at 720p.
Then
do you get it?
They have?
They're limiting it so that they can kind of have the performance at a consistent rate.
So on the dock, is it still 720, or does it go up to?
It can then upscale to 4K.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
The resolution is just the dimensions of the physical screen. The 720p of it all is how the system limits resources for the game being displayed.
I put my games down to you know me. I'm not like the biggest graphics guy. I'll put my things down to 720p if I feel like it, because I'm not like a. Like I don't need it to be like on the highest end
on
running.
On a small screen, I won't notice it, but if it's blown up, I'll probably notice it. But we'll see.
I might not even notice it, depending on how it looks.
Yeah.
All right. That would have been our main topic, but our main topic is a little more relevant to Japan. Here's a report. Lost Judgment could be the last of the Yakuza spin-off series. This is due to Sega and agency tension. This is by Liana Rippert for Game Informer. It looks like Lost Judgment could be the end of the Yakuza spin-off series if a reported dispute between Sega and actor Takuya Kimura's agency can't be resolved. The main point of contention is the decision to release the games on PC via Steam over actor privacy concerns. A new report from Nikon Taisu, a Japanese entertainment site, claims that Lost Judgment could very well be the final entry in the Yakuza spin-off franchise because of the talent agency that represents many of the actors that bring these characters to life. The core of the dispute is that Sega sees the opportunities of Steam and PC platforms, both in terms of sales and Western outreach, with the expansion over onto Xbox having already procured bountiful results. PC aims to strengthen that growth's viability and the franchise's outreach. Takuya Kimura, the actor behind Takayuki Yagami, the game's protagonist, is represented by Johnny & Associates, a company that has a very strict policy when it comes to talent and their likeness. According to the report, the agency does not want any of their actors on a PC platform that is not a game console platform and connects directly to the internet. What? We dove deep into Rule 34 and modding ethics earlier this year. Moreover, the portrayal of gaming characters regardless of likeness is a hot topic within the modding community. There are so many incredible mods out there that enhance games, fix broken issues, and add new content, and expand upon the original vision. There's also the other side of that coin, a side that many feel breaches upon an actor's privacy, something that the agency has issues with in this particular situation. By keeping the games on console, the reduction of inappropriate mods is cut down immensely. It will never fully go away. People port games to PC all of the time with the purpose of platform expansion and modding, but it does add a level of containment that a Steam release can't offer. The disagreement could halt the production of future games if the platform limitation demand continues, especially since this conversation is not a new one between the two companies. Sega has reportedly had its eyes on getting both Lost Judgment and Judgment on Steam for a while now. It has been interesting to see the growth of the Yakuza franchise. It has always been a wonderfully entertaining series, though in the past hasn't reached the same fame in the West as it had in Japan. That changed through the years, and that change happened more noticeably when Yakuza made the jump over to Xbox platforms, and Sega finally began to drop a new title on a global scale all at the same time. Where the franchise's spin-off series goes from here is anyone's guess. The hope is that eventually the agency will either negotiate with a more open mind with Sega, otherwise the permanent halting of Judgment could be made a reality. So I'm of two minds of this. Okay? So you have the modding thing, which is a legitimate concern with celebrities being in games in general. But then there's the fact, then there's the talent agency, Johnny's and Associates, which has been known for shady and outdated business practices before. So remember how near the beginning of the episode I said the Ultraman Tiga news story will be important. So the main actor for Ultraman Tiga, his name escapes me, but he was also in the band V6, who did a couple of Inuyasha openings and endings and some other anime stuff, which is part of Johnny's and Associates. So he was not allowed to, for whatever reason, for a while, he was not allowed to do any guest appearances in any Ultraman stuff until and it also messed with the rights of the show because of Johnny and Associates like weird business practices. And then finally in 2018 he appeared in a commercial for like an Ultraman Tiga figure, and now we're getting, finally getting those DVD releases. There's a very good thing for a very good video by Vintage Henshin called The Disappearance of Ultraman Tiga on YouTube. If you want to look into it more, Johnny's and Associates is very outdated. They don't allow photos of, like, they don't like, there's something about like they don't like photos of their actors. Like they won't. It's a weird thing that you have to look into. Basically, they're not great, and it's kind of a weird balance between like, well, on one hand, they are right to be worried about the modding stuff, just because I've seen a lot of people bring up the whole Keanu Reeves mod and Cyberpunk and all that. So they are, while they are right to be worried about that, it might not be, that may not necessarily be the case, because they don't send like pictures of their actors through email. There's like this weird there's a lot of stuff that they didn't even allow. It was something about they didn't even allow pictures of their actors to be on the internet or something. I don't know the exact stuff. There's a lot of reading up on it you can do.
Yeah. So it basically boils down to a talent agency which manages the likenesses and appearances of their stars or clients for media, are kind of wary when it comes to like visual representations of their clients, be it in film, TV, or video games, because it can be manipulated into something that could, quote unquote, damage the reputation of the agency or the stars, and they kind of want to.
They'll literally do stuff like, but they're also, I'll send you the picture. They'll literally do stuff like this. And it's like, that's not. I'm guessing that's for promoting Lost Judgment.
Yeah, so
right?
It's.
So that's a bit weird.
It's weird in Western eyes, but in Japan it's not that uncommon. Because like I'm sure not all Japanese talent agencies do this, and I know Johnny specifically is known for being very not really with the time. Talent agencies have a lot of power when it comes to how people are represented, because you may think that being a celebrity in Japan is kind of equivalent to being a celebrity in the West, but it's not true. As you can see in this case, the talent agency kind of dictates what can and can't happen, and like a lot of actors aren't really making a lot of money. It's just what the talent agency allocates to them. It's a tricky situation, and
they forbid the use of their actors' headshots on websites. This is from a Variety article. From when their founder passed.
If you want this to change,
had a bunch of problems of his own.
If you'd want this to change, you'd probably have to change the legislation for this and up the rights for actors and actresses and artists in Japan. But yeah, it's
because really it should be up to them, right?
Again, it's we're viewing this from a Western lens. In Japan, there are totally different rules.
Just in general, I think it'd probably be up to the actors themselves, the performers themselves.
Again, it's a Western lens with which we're viewing this. I can't really speak to.
I don't think that's true.
I'm telling you, it's pretty different in Japan.
I don't know. I need to see comparisons about with other talent agencies because I don't know other ones and how they work.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't been written about as much as Johnny's has.
You could read up about talent agencies in Japan and Korea and China, and you'd probably have an idea of how they handle their talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ultraman Tiga video is a very good look into this whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I highly recommend it if you want to learn more.
Yeah.
And hopefully Lost Judgment isn't the last one in the series. If it is, do you think they would just... If they had to do that, do they think they would just... they could still continue the series, though. They could just change the main character.
Yeah.
If that's the only issue.
Like someone on Twitter said, Yagami gets into an accident and they have to do reconstructive surgery on his face, and voila, you have a different character voicing and then acting as the character's model. So it's not beyond Yakuza to do something like that, but...
Yeah. Like the one dude who got arrested for drugs or something for the first game. It was for the first Judgment, wasn't it? What is with this series?
No, it was it for the first Judgment or for a Yakuza game? I think
it was for Judgment.
I think it was for Like a Dragon. The thing is, which I find ironic, is that sex crimes are kind of...
No, Sega suspends Judgment shipments in Japan due to actors' involvement in drug busts.
Okay, moving on. I was going to say, I find it ironic that things like drugs and actors' rights are treated so heavily, but if someone commits sexual abuse or a sexual felony, it's sometimes treated like
the founder of Johnny's allegedly did, according to that Variety article.
And it's then treated with like a slap on the wrist.
Barely a blip on the radar. Yeah, it was barely a blip, apparently, according to that article.
So yeah, it's like I said earlier, if you want the actors, actresses, and artists to have a better chance at managing their own rights, you'd have to change the legislation in Japan. Thankfully, in the West.
Again, you have to read up on other talent agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, entertainment industry like that.
Yeah.
Just have a lot of shady things behind them in general, which is unfortunate. Not to say all of them are like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to have to be careful with...
Yeah, no. I'm just saying, there are shady business practices way more often than not, and it sucks. That's about it.
Okay.
Very general statement.
Okay. But when it comes to Johnny and Associates, it's that there have been allegations in the past, so it bears mentioning that you could read up on them. But yeah. Read up, watch that Ultraman Tiga video.
Support the release of Ultraman Tiga if you're interested in that, because not in the whole Judgment thing, but just because this is just such a it's kind of like a monumental occasion almost for us Ultraman fans who've been waiting a long time for a new DVD release of Ultraman Tiga. We had one before, but it was like separated in like separate. It was one of those back in the day when like there was like the very the slim DVD cases, and it'd be like volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. Back before we had like the box sets.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a very awesome thing.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Support Tokusatsu.
All right. I think that's been it for this week then.
Yeah, we somehow didn't get any listener questions this week, despite talking about Judgment and Steam and a lot of interesting news. But what can you do?
Yeah. Thank you for listening. This has been Erroll. This has been Jason. We will see you next week. Stay healthy. Stay safe. Have fun out there. Be kind to one another. Be kind to yourself.
Watch anime. Make sure, please, especially if you live in the U.S., but anywhere you live, if you have the ability to get vaccinated, please do.
But if you're unsure, consult your doctor and medical experts. Emphasis on experts.
Yes.
Before making a decision. And
do not listen to some random podcaster.
Well, we're random podcasters.
I mean, like.
But I digress.
We're not saying we're, if you want a second opinion or something, like listen to a medical expert, like first and foremost, like.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week, and we're out.
Also, play Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin on Switch and/or PC. Okay, matane.
Okay.